You tune back into the Fixx, your source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on Sirius XM, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio. It's your boy DJ Focus checking back in. And listen, you guys are in for a treat today. When I say I got one of the singing powerhouses in gospel right now on the line, I promise you, it's one of those things you just know when you hear that voice. That it's just a blessing from God. And listen, she comes from a singing family. Stop playing. I don't know if it's time yet to call them legends yet, but they've been doing it at a high level for a long, long time. So listen, help me welcome in one of the members of the Walls group, Aja Walls. What's going on, sis?
Hey, how are you? I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, sis. So listen, let's get to it. Can you share a little bit of your faith story with the people? Maybe how you develop your own personal relationship with Christ?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can actually. I feel like it started for me when I was around maybe like 4 years old, honestly. I was very I guess advanced for my age. Like I could talk at like 2 and like full sentences. My mom used to always say like I was so smart. But I struggled my whole life with insomnia really bad. And my parents hate for me to tell this story, but it's just, it's the truth, whatever. My dad was an alcoholic growing up. So at night was like when things in our household would just get real chaotic. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know what he was going to come home on. And living that type of lifestyle when I was so like aware consciously, but not really knowing like what was going on, I didn't have much security. You know what I'm saying? Or I didn't feel very safe. So I struggled to sleep because I didn't feel very safe. So for years on years, like I would pray this one prayer. I don't know why I knew this one prayer at like 4 years old, but I would pray like, now God lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Because I didn't know much about God, but from what I heard growing up, in church and my mom being a minister of music, if you pray, you good. So I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen to me, but I know that I want to be with God. Like I know I want to be with Christ. So growing up, like it's I didn't like really care that much about church. I became kind of like an angry, recluse type of kid. And so I spent all my time by myself, trying to figure my thoughts out, trying to like keep a leash on myself basically. Cause I was really like, my mom calls it criminally bad. I was sneaky, just always be up to something, you know what I'm saying? So it maybe got to the point where maybe I was maybe 12 or 13. Yeah, I was 13. I started high school at 13. And I don't know, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. Growing up, my dad, after he had stopped drinking and, stopped doing all the other stuff, he still was a very angry guy. And so there was not a lot of like love in my household. We didn't tell each other, I love you. My older siblings, like they were off in their own world. I was off in my own world. So it was very lonely, I'll say. And I didn't really like people. It's like I would go to school and come home and that was my life. I didn't have very much freedom, nothing. So I kind of felt like a prisoner, like in my own house. So I remember I started dating a boy, woo woo, and got my heart broken to smithereens. And at that point, I remember being mad. And I know who I was mad at, but I was just mad. Like, my life sucks and I cannot believe, like, I can't get nothing right. Like, everything is just trash. And by this point, we had started the Walls group and I had been singing for like 2 years. And it was just something I did to get my parents off my back, I didn't want them nagging me and, going off. I just didn't want any problems. So I would sing and I would come home and it's just what I did. But it became deeper to me when I got my heart broken. I remember I didn't know much, but I knew after I'd been baptized at 12, like, maybe I should, try to figure out something deeper. So I remember praying this night, just being fed up with my life. And I remember just praying to the Lord and just asking him or just telling him, like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. You know what I'm saying? I don't think my life is fair. And for the first time in my life, after praying this prayer, I fell into like a deep sleep, which was common for me because I was an insomniac, So the very first thing that God gave me was rest. And I realized that it couldn't have come from anywhere else because on my own, I can't sleep. I never felt safe enough to sleep. I didn't even have time to overthink myself out of a good night's rest after praying this prayer. Wow. So, dang, like, And, if you ask God for something, he'll really give it to you. Like, wow, God really answers prayers. And so I started after this point to like want to get close to God, like almost cling to him, because if you'll give me rest, what else will you give me? And
Right.
so at first in my adolescent mind, I would think of God like I need something, I'll ask him for it. But as I grew older, my relationship started to progress to where as I allowed him to take hold of me, spiritually, and mentally, I allowed him to compartmentalize my mind. So I was an overthinker. I was an anxious kid. I was angry. I was just so full of at ADD, really bad, so my mind would wander and I would just feel so out of control. God gave me peace in my mind first. And so once I realized that these are the things he was giving me, I wanted to go deeper with him. I would start to ask him questions about stuff. When I tell you the Lord became my best friend, and this is coming from an introvert who doesn't talk to anybody, who barely has any friends at school, who doesn't really talk to her older siblings, don't really talk to my parents at all. I just started to talk to God about everything. And I remember like, at first it was like, oh, I could talk to God, but then it was like, oh, he talks back. Like he would start to me dreams. Like I remember I stole one of Daryl's devotionals. And that's when I started to get into reading the word, and the words like jumped off the page to me. It was like, bro, this is what I've been missing all my life. Like I always felt so out of place. And so I felt right at home, sitting in my room, talking to God, reading about him, studying him. And now at 24, this has been my life.
No, that's amazing, and thanks for sharing that, sis. Um, did while you were going through that, was there ever a time where like music was your outlet? Because like when I hear you sing, like the form of it's like a form of worship, but like was that like therapeutic for you? Sometimes like when you guys would go perform, could you like release some of your worries and anxiety then?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Music was one of the ways I could communicate like what I was feeling or put it into not even cohesive words, but sounds. And it was a more than a release for me. It was like once I released it for myself, I could see that other people were being released from other things as well. So God was using me before I even said yes fully. You know what I'm saying? And not just using me for other people, but using my gift to really help me. Like I remember being in a awful relationship in my teens. Man. And I wanted to be free so bad, but I just didn't know how. And I remember being on stage every night or every other night, like crying out to God. And after months of being released and releasing this pain and anguish and confusion, I started to feel different. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I finally could be like, I'm gonna let this go and trust God with the rest. So absolutely, music was my escape. Listening to music, writing music, singing music, all of it.
So come on, let's talk about some of your musical inspirations growing up. I'm dying to know, like, come on, when you was in high school, who were the ones that kind of helped shape your voice and your talent to where it is?
Oh man, Brandy was number one.
I hear that absolutely.
I couldn't sing growing up like the rest of my siblings. It came naturally for them. I didn't understand my voice. I didn't like it. I didn't know really what to do with it. It didn't sound like anybody's I'd ever heard before. So when I discovered Brandy, my life changed because not only did she sound like me, like she was really, really good. And so I remember studying her over and over and over again. Frank Ocean, before he was Frank Ocean, he was Lonnie Bro. And he had a mixtape that he released before he was like mainstream, that I would study like these songs and the way he would his instrumentation. I would study that. Jasmine Sullivan, from her Apollo days to growing up and listening to what song was it? In Love with Another Man. It's not necessarily the song, the words of the song. It was her voice. It was the passion you heard in her in music. Like I was like, oh yeah, I can get behind this. Aretha Franklin. Oh my gosh, she's my absolute time favorite. Mariah Carey was a huge inspiration for me growing up. Um, It's actually crazy because most people really wouldn't know because I sing alto, but I'm actually a lazy soprano. And I have a whistle tone that I never use. But Mariah Carey was like the end all be all for me as a little girl. Like We Belong Together was my song. Like I used to sing it over and over and over again, trying to get her lead the way, trying to get her runs just right. Like Usher as well. Usher was my top. He was the way he structured his songs, the way his back. I used to overanalyze songs. Like I was like OCD about listening to a song 1,000 times because the first time I listened to it, I listened to the lead. Second time I listened to the soprano parts. Third time I listened to the alto parts. Fourth time I listened to the tenor parts. Fifth time I listened to them all together. Sixth time I listened to the instruments and whatever I could get wrap my brain around and imitate. Because that's how I learned to sing is I would imitate what I would hear. And that was what made me me.
Listen, that's fire. Listen, DJ Focus, you tuned into the Fixx right now. Your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Listen, talking with the talented Aja Walls. We got to go to break. Keep it locked. You tuned into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is in. We're coming right back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You tune back into the Fixx, your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on Sirius XM, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio, DJ Focus. And listen, I got the singing powerhouse right here, just, dropping these little gems and just sharing her life journey with us, Aja Walls. Listen, I have to know, like, you got to take us through a little bit of the journey. What's it like being in a group with your siblings? Like, I'm one of, let's be very clear, I'm one of 4. And I just know all the arguments and all the fights that I had growing up. So I'm just trying to figure out when y'all go in the studio and make a song, like I know it has to be some like, no, add that. No, don't do that. No, come on and let's talk about it a little bit. What's it like for you guys to make a song and just, just talk about just your overall experience of being in a group with your siblings?
Man, so I'm the youngest out of us 4, but there are 8 of us total. So that dynamic is like, oh man, I don't even know how to describe it. When God raises you up amongst people, he doesn't care who it is, even if you do. So having to battle your own ego and your own pride while other people may or may not be battling theirs that day, you're going to run into some problems. So we're professionals. Like when you see us, we won't be fighting in front of you. The people around us have to worry about whether or not we're going to be fighting before or after. And it gets intense, but I will say professionalism, I guess, the professionalism that we've learned really has helped us even in our relationships with each other. I'm big on respect, and being the youngest and the smallest, like my mom calls it little man syndrome, but I'm big on respect. So if I feel disrespected, and I'm working on this, so pray for me, y'all. But when I feel disrespected, like I want to fight. So you know what I'm saying? And so my other siblings, like Daryl, it takes a lot for him to go there. It takes a lot for him to go there. Like he's the one that'll be ducked off in his own little corner, maybe laugh it off. Rhea is like trying to be the mom of the group, which is not respected at all. Paco,
wow,
he's a firecracker. And if he goes off, it'll set everybody else off. So it used to be like maybe my attitude wasn't so good because maybe I'm not in the mood. So I stay away, and I won't try to fight. But if you try me, I'm going there with you. So it's not hard working with each other because we do all have the same goal in mind and we do all want to see each other win. So it's just not terrible. You know what I'm saying? But there are those moments where like one of us quits every other month. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I'm done with y'all. Over it. We're done.
Right.
But I mean, God doesn't allow for our pettiness to come his will. It's going to be accomplished whether you go out kicking and screaming or whether you go willingly. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be accomplished. So I'm learning how to go with his flow and not fighting against it.
What has been your best experience so far being in the group? I mean, you guys have hit every stage that you can think about. What has been your best experience for you personally? What was that one thing that was like, this was really dear to my heart? I was grateful that we were a part of this.
So we recently did Tasha Cobb's live album.
Mm.
And being in an industry where you were maybe not so welcomed from the beginning and even now, and for somebody that you have loved for years, since Tasha Cobbs came on the scene, I think we all came on the scene at the same time. I even have the old pictures. I might email them to you so you can see them. But she has been so consistent in her love and support and just extending her hand to us because, we've been in the game a long time, but we're still like very young,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say that not everybody, but a couple of people have not been so like welcoming and kind and warm. She's always had the same energy. So for her to invite us to her live recording, and when I tell you she went all out to make sure that we were comfortable, more than comfortable, just being able to worship with her and experiencing just the Tasha we know, it really just it moved my heart. I'm very wary of people. And so she's always been very constant and consistent on a very personal level too. It's not just for cameras, but she's the type to reach out to you, text you, hit you up like, I'm thinking about you. How are you this week? How can I pray for you? And I really appreciate that about her. So that really stands out to me.
What's your spiritual regimen? Like I just feel your spirit over here. What does your spiritual regimen look like daily? Like what take us through a morning of prayer or your spiritual regimen for the day that keeps you right where you need to be with God.
Um, I wake up and I pray. Um, I start my morning off thanking God, talking to God, making sure my mind is in the right place because gratefulness is the perfect antidote to any negative feelings that you might be feeling. Maybe I woke up and had a really bad dream or, what I'm saying? Maybe I wasn't feeling so hot the night before. And I actually got into the habit of playing scriptures as I'm going to sleep. If I leave my TV on, I actually play scriptures as I'm going to sleep. So I wake up to scripture. I wake up to pray and I thank God for where I am in my life. I work out in the morning times and I pray while I'm working out as well. And prayer to me is really just talking to God. It's become habitual to me. It's like my daily bread. It's something I have to do to keep my mind right, and as I go through my day, I just talk to the Lord and I always tell people, God is always speaking. He always talks back. And so
Facts.
talking, I also make sure I have those moments where I'm sitting still and I'm listening, making sure I can hear from God, making sure I'm making space in my day for Him. And that's really it.
No, that's good. That's good. Thanks for sharing. Come on, let's talk about this music now. You got this single out, Can't Get Enough. Can you just talk about the inspiration behind it? And just your creative process with even creating this urban gospel banger. Let's be very clear.
Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. I want you to know that the only music people are gonna ever get from me is the Lord has to tell me to do it. When I say I quit music actually 2 years ago, being in this like industry, I guess this lifestyle can be like really overwhelming. I've been in it since I was 10. I'm now 24, and I'm an introvert. I like my space. I like having clear boundaries between my life and everything else. And walking with God, I wanted to quit music. I was going through a lot in my life like 2 years ago with my family and just with God restructuring my life and really showing me who I am. And I dropped a lot of things. And to me, music was something that I just didn't see for myself. And so as I was getting rid of things in my life, detoxing, if you will, and I touched on music, God was like, oh, I gave you that one. And I was like, but what am I supposed to do with it? You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
I don't see myself as a traditional gospel artist. I don't see myself as a traditional artist. I see myself as a minister. So the things that I say and what I do and just who I am and how I present myself to the world as someone who represents Christ, like I wanted that to be God ordained only. And so when I wanted to say no to the music part, I really couldn't because obedience looks like it's not about me anymore. And so the Lord really tested me on that, like, okay, I'm pushing you here. So are you going to do it? So I procrastinated for years. I wrote that song when I quit music. And right back when I started, I wrote it in my closet, recorded it. I was like, it don't really sound that good, my now manager, Zay, who's great, and I thank God for him. Because without him I would still be quit. But he hit me up and was like, I got a studio, let's go record it here. Like, when I say I didn't have any resources, I was broke. I just didn't see a way for me to record it and get it out. And I didn't really care how it would perform because I didn't really want to do music. So I didn't have the motivation, honestly. But God kept saying yes. God kept saying, like, yeah, this is it. Keep going forward. Keep going. And I'm just like, Lord, like, what do you want from me? Like, I don't understand. So when I recorded it at this first studio, I got it back and it didn't sound right. So for like 2 years, there's a studio in Houston called Lucky Run. And this producer named Eddie Ferguson, I'd worked with him previously for like a music video type thing for Jesus, Oh, What a Wonderful Child. We had worked with him. But past that, I really wasn't interested. My brother kept telling me, hey, you should work with Eddie. You should work with Eddie. You should work with Walk Boom Production. They're a great team. And they know what they're doing. So I hit Isaiah up and I was like, maybe we should try and work with Eddie. Maybe they might, be able to offer something that maybe nobody else could before. So this is actually this year. Early this year, we finally get in the studio and they hear the song and they're like, oh, we love it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've heard that before. Maybe the song is just that good. Like, nobody can really execute it how I hear it in my head. Even I couldn't do it because I'm not a producer. But they heard my rough draft of it. And when they sent me back the track, it was like perfect. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. It sounds so good. Like, I was shook. Like, okay. They were like, yeah, so when do you want to come record it? And I was like, okay, we can do that like ASAP. So when we got in to record it and I met everybody and I got to hear everybody's take on the song and they had added all their flavor and their funk, I'm like, well, dang, this don't even sound like the Can't Get Enough that I initially recorded. But when I got in there and I sang it and they finished it, I like fell in love with it. And I was just like, man, like, this is crazy. Like, if God tells you to do it, like, he'll really give you the tools to do it. But as far as inspiration for the song, the songs I write all are like love songs because, I hadn't really experienced love in its full true form until Jesus met me where I was at. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So drawing from that and that being the basis of the life that I live and that love really propelling me and pushing me and actually transforming me into a new person, I wanted to put it in song form. And that's how it came to me. Like, I can't get enough, literally. And the way I wrote it, it's like, I don't know. It just was what God gave me. So I'm thinking the whole time, like, nobody's going to really understand the song. Nobody's going to like it. Like, I don't really know. Like, I'm overthinking like crazy. Once I heard it, I was like, yeah, might as well go forward and go forward with it. And I did. And now it's here.
Yeah, it's solid, and I'm excited for you. I can't wait to hear more music. The beautiful thing about gospel music, I love that we're finally getting a chance to hear other forms of the gospel music. I call it urban gospel.
Yeah.
Corinne Hawthorne does it.
Mm-hmm.
Doe is good at doing it too as well.
Yeah.
But what I love about the two other people I name outside of you, you guys all still have a different sound and it's a different lane. So like, I'm excited. Like if this is what we're going to get on this project, listen, it's over. Like you're going to be a game changer. So I just want you to just be praying right now. Just get ready because God is about to do some amazing things. And I'm telling you, we're all going to get behind you. Everybody in radio is going to get behind you. I'm telling you, when they finally really hear this song. Yeah, it's amazing. Can we expect a project maybe by the end of this year or early top of the first quarter of 2023? Or are you just, I know you said you kind of just go how God leads you and he gives you that revelation to make something. That's how you making it. So are you just going day by day like that?
I am actually. I actually have a session tomorrow. So as of now, I have like 5 songs that are done. And I thought about just maybe releasing like a 4-song EP. So, I mean, probably end of the year. Probably end of the year. I'm not gonna stall too long because I know for a fact that I've stalled enough. I'm not gonna even lie. I tried to say no, you know what I'm saying, and it just didn't work. So I've been steadily going with the Lord, and some songs I feel like I might just like give away, but as far as a project from me, I got a good solid like five tracks.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. Listen, when can we expect? I know you guys, the Walls group, are working on a new project too as well. Is that dropping soon?
It's done, and we had a release date actually for August 26th, but because of some added stuff and some changes that we actually just talked about today too. That I think they pushed it back to October now, and the latest they said is January. But I'm banking on October. I'm gonna tell people October because I'm ready. And I'm kind of happy that everybody is getting to hear like Crazy and Stand Still. But the album is so different. It's so diverse. It's our senior album, and I think it's the setup for kind of like more of our solo endeavors. So you'll get to hear songs with just me, songs with just Paco, songs with just Rhea, songs with just Daryl. I like this album really pulled, I feel like, a lot out of us. Even me and Paco have a track on there, just us two. And
Well,
it's a well, for people who've heard it, it's actually a favorite. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, man, October, I'm pushing for. So I'm glad I got your email because I get to send you some stuff that you can just, vibe out to. Actually, give me some thoughts about because I really want to know.
Absolutely. I definitely will. Listen, if you could change one thing I've heard from you today is just you continue to talk about the industry. If you could change one thing within gospel music, business, relationship wise, it doesn't matter. What would that one thing you would change?
Oh, I heard somewhere somebody said that heaven is not a gated community. I would change what would I call it? Like, it's kind of like a clique, in gospel. And it's like, if you're not in, you're basically out. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing what we're doing, what you're doing really isn't important. I would change the stigma that just because what you're doing doesn't look like what people want it to look like means it's wrong. I want people to understand that gospel music, if somebody's telling you about Jesus, no matter what it sounds like, that's gospel music. Period.
Facts. Listen,
Period.
I got to ask you now before I get you out of here. So yes, of course, we are a Christian hip hop show, and I was at the Stellars this year. Great performance. I'm just being real. I was very geeked up. I got a chance to see Wande, Aaron Cole, Erica Mason, all the artists that we play and we've been supporting and playing for years on the big stage. The first time out of 37 years. And then I'm be honest with you, I know people didn't really pay attention to it, but they did. I was saddened by Ernest Pugh's comments about it turning into the Gospel Hip Hop Awards. Like, I was like, come on now.
A lot of people agree with that. And to me, I will say this. I'm glad that people aren't God. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that God is God alone because I was excited, like you said, to see Wande, see Aaron Cole, because before they only got love on places like the Devil Wars. They only got love places that for people who feel like there's no place for you and for the church to tell you, you're right, this isn't the place for you because that don't sound like long as I got King Jesus. Now, come on now. And Ernest, I love Ernest. Honestly, this is no shade, no tea, but I will just say, you have to be able to expand your thinking because God sees the heart of somebody. He doesn't see what we see. He sees the heart of somebody. And so if somebody's heart says, this is all I know, this is the music that comes from me, this is actually the gift that God gave me, and this is how he gave me to use it, and I'm going to use it for him, we should be applauding them. This is the same thing that people ostracize us for years, calling us gospel hip hop hoes, all types of stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because we didn't come out looking or sounding like what people thought we should look or sound like. So I'm excited to see it. I'm more than excited to see it. I'm expecting to see more of it. And it's natural to want to see more of it. And it's not to say it's to move the other stuff out of the way, but it's to show that God cannot be boxed in. Because he wants to reach every single person he can. It's his will that no man should perish. So if somebody can only listen to Wande's type of music, and if they hear Jesus, and it's like, this how Jesus followers are stepping? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And they're like, man, this is what made me start wanting to get to know about Jesus. She's rapping and she's spitting and it's crazy, but this is scripture. This
Facts.
is this is feeding my soul. It's not just making me want to dance, but it's actually feeding my soul. Like, we can't say that just because it's a lot of dancing. David danced. You're supposed to dance. The Lord says dance. Make a joyful noise.
It's an award show. There's supposed to be entertainment. What are we talking about?
Bro,
Yes.
more than more than entertained, you leave fields. It's
Yes.
to me, in my opinion, and I'm just gonna be very honest. Once the lights and the cameras and all that goes off, these people are real people in real life with a real message. Period. No matter if you don't like the way their music sounds, listen to what they're saying.
Mm.
Don't be so close-minded that you miss a good message at all. Is the only point I'm making from anybody. The Lord can use and will use anybody.
That's good. That's good. Listen, Aja, I gotta let you go. I promise you, I gotta get you back on. I can't wait till you release your project. I'm definitely gonna reach out. Definitely gotta get you back on. But tell the people how they can connect with you, how they can follow you on all your social media platforms, and as well introduce your latest single.
Oh, okay. Y'all can follow me on everything. I really don't even have anything. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a social media girl. Maybe that'll change in the future, but I do have an Instagram you can follow at AHJAAAHHHHH. So that's 4 A's and 6 H's. Very obnoxious, I know. I do have a YouTube actually that I'm just now revamping, and I'm trying to engage with y'all on there. So we talking about hard topics. Anything if you want to talk about, we're going to talk about, we're going to do our research about it, and we're going to give some real truthful, some real tough answers. And stream my new single, Can't Get Enough. That's it.
Keep it locked. You're tuned into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is in. You're tuned back into the Fixx, your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on Sirius XM, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio. DJ Focus checking back in. And listen, let me tell you something, man. I got a very, very talented and unique artist on the line right now, man. If you don't know him, man, I mean, he's been making, some waves for a little bit now. But I love his passion. He has a huge and a very unique faith story. And listen, his artistry is like no other. Like there is no box to put him in. Let's be very clear. We thought we was going to put him in the gospel box. He's like, nope. We thought we was going to put him in the little rap box. We're like, nope. Every time you think you're going to put him in the box, he's like, nope, I got something else I'm going to show y'all. So listen, I'm very grateful to have on the line, man, a super talented songwriter, artist, creative CEO. Listen, I'm going to give him a mogul too as well. His own mogul too as well. I'm going to give him his roses right now while he's still living. My brother, Sir the Baptist. What's going on, bro?
Yo, thank you for that intro, bro. What I owe you for that? That's crazy.
Nothing, man. I have been a fan since you've been out, bro. So I've been following you the whole journey, the whole walk, man, ever since you have been out, man. So I'm just a super fan. I appreciate, you presenting your art in a different form. I know, of course, some people don't, respect it, but I'm a street guy. So I'm a transformed street guy, so I appreciate your ministry. Your ministry is different, and it's not for everybody. So that's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about the gospel. You can give it to people where, everybody can receive it, and it's okay. So listen, let's talk about it, man. First, what has this pandemic taught you? I know you've done a lot of things through this pandemic these last couple of years. So talk about just what this pandemic has taught you and everything you started in the pandemic.
Yeah, man. You know what? I officially rebranded in the pandemic for my company. I started a company called Temple, Tymple. Man, it's been amazing. It taught me a lot about business, infrastructure, music. I've also got a chance to sort of expand my music as musicality. So I was able to work with Tennessee State University. So now I'm creating music in the form of 400 horns, trying to grasp that Joshua and the walls of Jericho moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the is extremely powerful. So the music's there, the business there. I added a beautiful baby to my family. Her name is Lord with an E.
Okay.
She's singing already. Yeah, thank you, man. Singing already. I'm excited about that. Yeah, man, my kids are doing music. My whole family's doing music, and I just got my doctorate degree from Tennessee State University. So they honored me with an honorary doctorate with Dallas Austin, who did Drumline, and Aretha Franklin and Michael Jackson and all of that. We got a degree together, and man, it's been crazy. So the pandemic taught me a lot and kind of helped me restructure and rethink the kingdom of God and expand it and sort of tap into these HBCUs and reignite the youth, man, for God. So we just put out our single with Molly, and now we're doing a whole album. And man, this pandemic has given me a lot of space, man, to really be myself and really just chill out,
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit more about Temple, man, because I think a lot of people don't know about your platform and how powerful that platform it is. It's a lot that goes with that.
Yeah. So Temple, we started by releasing music. And then we got some investors that helped us tap into some better infrastructure. So we've been building out infrastructure to basically redesign what the church looked like in the next 100 years. And now we're raising some funding with some venture capitalists, and we're almost up to $1 million. We're trying to go for 100 million. But that's been the goal there. Future goals, man, is to go from, music and infrastructure for a church and putting sermons on there and redesigning what intellectual property looks like for pastors and people who's writing and developing things. We got books, all of that sort of stuff. But outside of that, man, we're really trying to redesign what it looks like. And it's a lot of stumbles and, picking ourselves back up and starting over again. It's a startup company. When you see Temple, think of us as a spiritual Amazon or Apple. We're still in the garage moment where when Steve Jobs was in his garage, redesigning what computers would look like. So we're just kind of trying to redesign what the church looked like, because we're still the same church that we grabbed from the Catholic Church. where we're still the same church that they gave the slaves, you know. So we still that building, the pews, the pulpit, the infrastructure, the bishops, the missionaries, all of that. The infrastructure is the same, man. So we're trying to redesign that and see what it looks like for the next 100 years, man, or 1,000 years, you know. And then the long-term goal is to, you know, build spaceships and stuff like that. But the preserving Christians for the next, you know, 100 years.
What do you think the state of the Black church is now? I know you grew up, you know, your parents and family were pastors and everything. Compared to when you were growing up to where we are now, do you think we are a little bit more advanced in our unity, in the way we operate as? Because you talk about the infrastructure, and I definitely can't wait till you show what you're looking to do with the infrastructure. So I'm just asking, where do you see the state of the Black church now compared to when you were growing up?
Right now, I think the Black church, I mean, the pandemic really did some serious restructuring for us. I told a bunch of pastors before, I said, hey, listen, you know, go digital, way before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened, and you know, Jamal Bryant and a few, a few other guys hit me and was just like, hey, you know, let's try to do more digital stuff. I think they thought of it as doing digital stuff as being on Instagram and Facebook and all of that, but that's just giving away your intellectual property. With Temple, we actually you can actually run ads and build fortune, and you know, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. So it's like you kind of got to use your intellectual property, your sermons, and all of that sort of stuff to bring in wealth for the church and not necessarily ask for tithing. So we're solving a lot of those problems that we think the youth kind of don't rock with, which the African American church is kind of stepping away from the church. Although there's a return, like, hey, we back in the streets, you know, we back outside type of thing, to where the pandemic is gone and people going back to church a little bit here and there. There's so many churches that were shut down. And,
That's good.
And during that pandemic, I mean, the Black church, we really built up our following, but we built up our following on someone else's platform, right? So now Mark Zuckerberg is a little more richer. I had a chance to sit down with Mark right before the pandemic, and he was asking me, like, yo, how do I pay out for the streams that has been on intellectual property for churches? It's really hard for Facebook right now. Even right now, they're still they pulled me, Donald, Kirk, Mary, a little bit of everybody in this room. And it was like 40 of us. And they was trying to basically ask, like, how do we pay out, you know, gospel? And they had no way to understand the finances, the financial structure of the algorithm. They were just trying to get, like, I remember somebody raised their hand and was like, hey, how do I get verified? You know what I mean? They're not trying to verify you. They're trying to pay you out. Because Facebook paid out like hundreds of millions to Warner and all of that sort of stuff for their intellectual property. When you put stuff on Facebook, I feel like the Black church kind of sold our intellectual property during the pandemic. We kind of gave them our story even the more because we couldn't meet in person. And that was a time when we should have gotten together and built our own platform. So, but you know, it's a journey, because we have to unlock that part of our consciousness to where we can think algorithmically. You know, it's behind that mirror and being able to see coding and understand, you know, infrastructure in a way where you don't have to be cool on somebody else's platform. You can build your own. So I think the church is definitely in a weak space, but those who will find the great minds that's building outside of the church and somehow bring them into the church will have a better future. So that's what's my goal has been with these HBCUs, to really pull them into the church a little bit more and have them redesign what the church look like for the next 100 years.
That's amazing. I'm gonna get to the HCBUs really quick, but I want to know, do you think that when you talk about infrastructure, do you think the church has hurt when you talk about concerts? I know a lot of churches who have concerts and they don't charge. Do you think that's hurt or hindered the infrastructure when you talk about sales and being able to have that data to say, okay, we can pack out, 5,000, we can pack out 3,000 compared to just having the free concerts with all artists like you and everybody else that you named? Do you think that hurts the infrastructure?
You know what? I don't know if it hurts it. I think if you have a brand behind it that would front the money in order to have the impact, or at least the social impact with Black Christians, then you still fund the community. I think we have to restructure the like. There's so many people still on labels with gospel. You know what I mean? Like there's so many people that still don't have their masters. I remember arguing with Kurt Franklin at Soho House in Nashville. And he was just like, yo, I'm just now owning most of my material. It's just like, bro, you didn't own all your music, from years ago. No, that's shocking. You know what I mean? So I think one piece of it is the performance, but I mean, the performance is always going to be hard in churches because they're exhausting copyrights and not necessarily paying out the 8 to 10% that they're supposed to pay on their copyrights. Mm-hmm. So you don't really have infrastructure in the Black church that really pays out, whether you're charging for the tickets or getting paid for your property being played. Like everybody's playing Deliver Me right now, right? And I wrote that, which I have 67% of that song, right? Because I initially wrote it for me and Brandy, and then I gave it to Donald because I knew he would just smash it, and he did. But there's no way to trace to get my percentage every time somebody plays it, right? So the tickets doesn't really hurt us as bad as the infrastructure for intellectual property. Like it makes it harder for me to trace, and it makes it harder for us to produce more millionaires in the church, right? Because we don't have a pipeline that leads us to the wealth of the wicked.
Listen, you tuned into the Fixx, your source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. DJ Focus. Listen, I got to go to break, but I'll be right back with more from Sir the Baptist. Keep it locked. You tuned into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is in. You're tuned back into the Fixx, your source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Just came off a music break. Listen, still having a great conversation. Got my brother, Sir the Baptist, on the line. So listen, sir, let's talk about it, man. I really want to know, like, you're just such a dope creative. Walk us through your creative process for just creating a track. Like, you do so much. Do you write first? Do you hear the melody first? Are you humming the song first? Like, just what is your creative process when you go into the studio to create?
Well, it's a really weird process. Sometimes it's I create the music first. I'm like, yo, I just like this sound. Okay, I'm gonna build on this sound. I'll use some drums. Okay, now I need some keys. Or it'll start with the music, or it'll start with the lyrics or the message. But more importantly, it's always reflecting a marketing tactic, right? So like I pick a hi-hat based on my demographics. And that's, I kind of think musically the church we failed at that because we're all doing all those licks and riffs and all of that stuff, that we miss out on opportunities like branding, commercials, advertisement, everyday people, what they listen to. We haven't updated our sound. We're still on AM radio instead of coming to you. You know what I mean? Like it's a sad thing, man. So I kind of build my sound based on like almost like a scientist. Like I'm solving an economic problem in my community, a cultural problem. So every record is solving a problem, and I look at it like that. So like I'm picking hi-hats, music, lyrics, titles, music videos, colors, patterns, all of that stuff based on solving social problems.
So talk about it. Listen, I know you got a lot of bangers on this project you working on, but talk about the dance revival track you did with Jacqueline Carr. Like, what was that like? You know, and the inspiration behind it. The video was super dope. Like that whole that was it for me. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, wow.
Bro, you know what? These HBCUs are loving it, man. Like, I'm starting with TSU, but now McDonald's is giving me $100,000 to go to all these different HBCUs and give away $10,000 here, $70,000 here, $75,000 here, which is really cool. Shout out to LaShawn, and Monica and Gabby, who's a part of the team. Prav, Melanie's, Audrey. The whole team is just really like pulling in the HBCUs, but the process with them is going in and seeing what these kids really like, what they're interested in, right? And then telling them, hey, you can do that type of record with gospel, right? And then showing them what the walls of Jericho look like and showing them that they're horns, that they can play, some amazing stuff and resemble what we grabbed from our ancestors. So we took a lot of music, Negro spirituals, and just flipped them. So at the end of that Jacqueline Carr record, we go into Wade in the Water, which, is definitely a nod toward Baptist, Wade in the Water. But it was a great record, great experience, great performance. On this album, I can talk about this album a lot, and then I'll circle back around to that record real quick. But I got John P. Key and Fred Hammond on the same song with the band, and then they go into Yes Lord with a marching band. This is 400 kids, man. Like, you know what I mean? They just played the classics with 51,000 people in the stands. All of them were black. Like this is a new ground for me, man. I don't have to go and play Sunday service. I go and play a stadium where they're playing football right before 51,000 people, and we're playing halftime for football or the NFL or the NBA. Like we've got a whole thing we're doing with the NBA, with the HBCUs and all of that sort of stuff. But the process of this album is just grab all these greats and put them with a marching band and give them a sound that they haven't heard from gospel. And so John P. Key, Fred Hammond on the same song. We got Molly Music on a song. We got Donald Lawrence on a song with Louis York, which is amazing. Take Six. Jesus Christ. Jacqueline Carr. We got Kiara singing Going Up Yonder with a marching band and a choir. And it's insane, man. I know I'm missing a song that's probably really amazing, but this album, man, we're going for gospel roots, Grammy, and I think that's going to be freaking amazing because, I mean, Fisk University, which is another HBCU, won that Grammy 2 years ago, and now we're up for the same Grammy. So it gives us a chance to really bring that home for these kids, and the process of the album has been amazing.
Listen, talk about the importance of that. I think that's powerful. The importance of you being able to go back and teach these kids gospel roots. I could imagine some of these kids that you get a chance to teach some of these melodies to. They might not even know some of these songs. So have you had some conversations with some of these kids and being able to, minister in a certain point?
Absolutely. It's a form of ministering. But you know what the crazy thing is? I thought I was going to have to teach them. Man, all of these kids, churchy, man. They grandma, great grandma, all of them churchy. So when I'm singing Yes, Lord, all of them start shouting. Like if you look at that video with Jacqueline, right? They get up and they're shouting and all of that sort of stuff, right? I'm surprised, man, because if you let, the older folks say it, we've lost our youth. Right? But I think the youth just haven't found a way to tap into their inheritance. You know what I mean? They haven't had a reason to tap into their spiritual inheritance because it doesn't look valuable in the world. So when you go out to perform gospel, you're not getting paid a lot, right? So they're like, why do I want to do that? I prefer be Drake. So in this case, we're able to accomplish, and now they're like, yo, I want to play these hymnals. And even we got an urban hymnal coming out where we're doing a publishing deal, and we're going to have a coffee book table, designer book. You know how you see those Chanel books on the table when somebody's fancy and everything. We're going to have an HBCU hymnal where you can see all those hymnals and it'll have, you can read and perform some of these Negro spirituals, but just advanced into, some of the sounds that we have. By the way, bro, I heard you say poetry in what you in introducing your station, bro.
Yes, sir.
I'm working with Jay Ivy right now, man, and he's a poet from Chicago. He was on Never Let Me Down, Never Let You Down with Jay-Z and Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a poetry album that we dropping this year too. So we're super excited about that. It's got John Legend on it, Slick Rick, a little bit of everybody, man. It's all inspirational and gospel.
Come on back and let's talk about it. Whenever you ready, come on back. You know you can come on back, bro. Bring all your dope friends with you too. Bring all your dope friends.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring them on here, man. It's Slick Rick, it's Music Soul Child, Lettucey, John Legend, man, the BJ the Chicago Kid. It's all of us, man. We just having fun, man, and inspirational music, bro.
Listen, I want to give you roses, man. You are doing something that's definitely unique and different within gospel music, inspirational music. In your humble opinion, what is missing right now in gospel music?
Man, you know what? I gotta. It goes back to the piece, man. It's infrastructure, and we gotta stop. It's infrastructure, man. The economics. It's the church right now. We're the black church. We're not the black kingdom. The black church raise offering. The black kingdom takes over territories. It understands economics. And right now we don't really understand economics, man. Like the crazy thing, man, like I hate that I had to do this album with United Masters. Although I love my guy at United Masters and they're all cool and we're all family and everything. But I wanted to keep it black church, right? And it was so hard because working with Alan Carr, who is Jacqueline Carr's dad.
Yes.
Man, he wanted 45% of the album, right? And he didn't write anything, right? And that type of stuff kind of mess up the economics for our community because we're looking for percentages in places that we're robbing our culture. Mm-hmm. If you hear Kirk say that he didn't own most of his rights, like that something's wrong. Somebody was robbing him. You know what I mean? Or if you hear somebody say that they go to church every Sunday and they're playing to make money, like something's wrong with that. We need a way. The biggest problem right now is economics. And I know we shouldn't think about money. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about wealth, right? And building wealth so that we can attract the great minds. Right now, we're not attracting the great minds of the world because we don't have infrastructure. We don't have the economics figured out, and everybody's trying to grab what they can. So now it doesn't feel like it's, like hip hop is already in independence already. You know what I mean? Be independent, own your masters, all of this sort of stuff. This is like old news for hip hop, right? Mm-hmm. For gospel, they're all signed. They're all under these crazy contracts, and and they're having a retirement time of the great minds, like Phil Thornton left RCAI. Like all the major players in gospel are kind of stepping away from the business of it because it just doesn't make sense. So I think once we figure that out at Temple, we'll be able to redesign what it looks like so that faith becomes affordable. Sometimes people are sinning because they have no other choice. They sleep with that guy because they need somewhere to sleep. They there's so many things. We're still only a generation away from slavery.
Wow.
The church is only a generation away from slavery. So we got to fix that. And once we fix that and break into that consciousness where it allows us to design our own algorithms and stuff like that, then we'll really reshape what the future looks like, man.
Listen, I appreciate you coming through today, man, sharing some gems. Listen, I got to ask you, man, you've done a lot. You've worked with, the HBCUs. You've worked with a lot of artists. But if you had to pick two artists, dead or alive, any genre, to join a group with you, who would those two artists be?
Oh, man. You know what? Oh, man. Okay. I don't know how to, I got to pick a girl because I write in my head. I always write with a voice in mind. Now, of course, it's Kiara, right? I always write with Kiara in my head. But if I could remove Kiara, it's always Aretha. So I would want Aretha, right? I gotta have Aretha. I'm also musically handicapped when it comes down to education. So although I have a doctorate now and all of that, right? It's honorary. It's honorary. You know what I mean? I don't know all of these music notes and all of that stuff, man. They just appreciate me helping the community and all of that. But I would want somebody like Quincy Jones. So Aretha, me, and Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones, he went from Frank Sinatra to Michael Jackson to right now. Quincy Jones. I would love it. I recently had Anthony Hamilton play a gospel set, right? Having Quincy Jones do a gospel album would be amazing. So that's my goal.
Listen, I'm in agreement. I pray that comes to pass. I hope that happens for you. Listen, sir, tell the people how they can connect with you, follow you on all your social media platforms, as well as can you introduce your latest single?
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to send it. Can I send you a single that nobody has?
Oh, listen, exclusive. Stop playing. Go on and send that thing.
So I got this one. I'm gonna let you pick. It's Jamal Bryant, J.I.V., Jamal Bryant, J.I.V., John P. Key, Michaela. I don't know if you know Michaela. Michaela, she's so cold. So it's a song called All Right, or I could give you the Kiara joint, Going Up Yonder, and let you lose your mind off of that one. So your choice.
So let's be very clear. I'm a huge fan of Kiara, but I feel like this other joint with all the artists is going to be like, is that the hip hop vibe? What is that?
It's poetry, it's hip hop, and it's soulful. It's poetry, hip hop, and soul.
Send that.
Okay.
Kiara, forgive me. I know you listening. Kiara, forgive me. Go ahead.
All right. So this is All Right, featuring J.I.V., John P. Key, Jamal Bryant, Michaela, myself, the Aristocrat of Bands, which is the HBCU band for Tennessee State University. This is All Right.
Listen, keep it locked. We got to go right now. All right. You're tuned into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is here. You're tuned back into the Fixx, your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on Sirius XM, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio. You already know you tapped in with DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. And listen, Dice, I'm excited about this exclusive interview. This brother has a powerful testimony. It's just a true testament to show you what God can do. I'm excited about everything he's got going on, man, and we're going to get right to it. So help us welcome in a super talented artist, rapper. Listen, he got some hands, too. He throws some holy hands, but he also got a little left hook he might give you, too, as well. Help us welcome in our brother, John Gabanna. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? AKA Holy Gabanna. You know, I got to add the holy in there. Hey, I put Holy Gabanna on all my social medias, and I'm going to just start. Yeah, my name is John Gabanna, but, when I introduce myself, I'm going to say Holy Gabanna because the God I serve is holy, and I do everything to honor him, so it's holy. You know what I'm saying?
Say less. Holy Gabanna is in the building. Stop playing. We ain't playing with it. Listen, say less. I'm with you, brother. I'm excited about your journey, man, and you being able to share your story today, man. So listen, out the gate, man, talk a little bit about your faith journey, man, and where God has you compared to where you were before you kind of, walked this walk, submitted to God, and really developed this relationship with him.
Where he has me right now?
Yes, sir. Just kind of like your faith story, and what that looks like, what your faith story looks like.
Like how I started, or just as of right now, man, I'm on mission. Like, God just got me doing interview after interview, just sharing my testimony. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening right now. But it sounded like you was asking like the difficulty of it, or just like
more like the journey. So even if you want to call it like your testimony, like your journey of how you got to where you are now.
Well, I had an encounter with the Holy Spirit when I was locked up in jail, and from then I came out of jail. When the first encounter I had when I was in jail, that's something that I never forget. It was real. It was an encounter that was it was spiritual, and it was just an encounter that was life changing. But when I got out of jail, I got sidetracked and continued to live fleshly and worldly. But then years later, a friend of mine, a brother of mine, he had his own testimony. And so, one man plants, another man water, God get an increase. So just coming across his testimony with him getting shot, having a near-death experience, really opened my eyes and made me realize how life short is. And I just decided to give everything up and just really seek God on my own, truthfully, and just sincerely, genuinely just know who the Father is. And that's been happening since 2020. I actually openly confessed Jesus as my Lord and Savior at the end of 2020, and then I got baptized 2021 February, and then now it's August 2022. So I've been walking with God for a year and a half, but that's how it started. And then just since I openly confessed Jesus as my Lord and Savior, man, I just been sharing my testimony, sharing my encounter with the Holy Spirit when I was in jail, and then sharing my brother's testimony as well, because his testimony is what made me buckle down. Just knowing somebody who got shot, had a near-death experience, pronounced dead, come back in his life. Come back inside his body, and then tell everybody that Jesus is real. It just put the icing on the cake. Like, okay, this is it. This is time. Because I had an experience with the Holy Spirit myself when I was in jail. You know what I'm saying? So just that was an eye-opener, a real eye-opener. Like, okay, yeah, this is it. It's time where I just take my focus from the world and focus on God. because I'm like, at any moment, at any time before this moment, I could have, slipped up and passed away. And if I'd have died, if God's hand wasn't on me, and I'd have died, just overdid it on the drugs, just anything, where would I be at? What would my soul be? What would my eternity look like? You know what I'm saying? So I just made that decision. I'm like, shoot, thank God that I experienced that and I came across my brother testimony. Thank God that he didn't die. He got shot, he suffered, but his suffering saved me. And it's gonna save millions more people who hear my testimony.
Man, you have a very, very powerful story, something that Focus has been telling me. And I got a chance to watch a few clips. I mean, it's so big. It's in a documentary. And I have a question for you. Knowing now that you have a relationship with God, what do you know now about that relationship that you didn't know before? Like, how did you think God was versus now that like, what's the difference?
All right. So, before, when I thought of God, I didn't think of God as a actual being. Well, I knew God existed, but it's like now when I think of God, I think of God as a person, because God wants relationship. So I think of him as a person. And before, when I thought of God, man, it's like I knew, okay, God created all things, but I didn't know anything about him. I didn't understand why things happen. I didn't understand why things in my life happen. I just didn't understand these things. But you see, now when I think about God, God says that all things work out together for the good of those who love him and called according to his purpose. So it's like, see, now all things aren't good, but even bad things work out for the good according to God's purpose. You get what I'm saying? So it's like last time, like before, I just like thought like, man, why is life so bad? Like, why is, why, I guess in life I'm supposed to struggle or get abused or get beaten on. But, like God's word, he says his plans to give us a future and a hope. You know what I'm saying? So see, it's like, I know, like even in the word, when God say, when you pray, act as if you already received it and you receive it. It's like, God is a father. I understand. It's in my mind that he's a father and that his job is not to give us a comfortable life, but to build character within us, but to, to form and shape us and to, we the clay, he the potter, into what he want us to be. And then, everything that, I've been through is to share it with somebody else, to save them and in the position. But it's like, man, how I look at God now is just like as a father, it's like, because I have a 4-year-old. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's, yeah, that's my before and now on how I view God.
That's good.
That is good. And yes, absolutely. He is a father to all of us. So we are grateful that, we do have an authentic relationship with God. Listen, talk a little bit about your upbringing. I know we know you're from, Duval County. Just talk about your upbringing, of course, talk about some of your influences in music as you were coming up, and then how that inspired you to even start doing music itself too as well.
So, I grew up in the 6th. Well, my mom, she got 6 kids. My dad wasn't in my life. He was in and out of prison. My stepdad, he raised me. until I was 14 years old. He died of bladder cancer. And so when he left, you know, my mom, she really didn't have no support. So she was, you know, left doing the best she could. We had the dumpster dive for food. You know, we had to steal our food out of stores, sneak in stores, or not sneak in stores, but we'll be in the store sneaking, eating food. You know, with, you know, lights and water on and off. We steal water from neighbors. Sometimes I remember having to use the bathroom in bags, you know what I'm saying? Sleeping in cars with the family. You know, had to steal, one, I remember my mom, she stopped buying us school clothes and school shoes. I had to steal clothes and shoes from, you know, just to try to look fresh for the school year. Moving around, I went to 5 different high schools out of the 4 years. Out of 4 years of high school, I went to 5 different ones. So we always moved around, place to place. You know, sometimes I stayed with friends just from pillar to post. That's how it was. And, at 17, you know, my mom, she got tired of me, cause my first charge, I caught my first charge at 16. Got my first tattoo at 16. And then, you know, just 17. I give myself, I think I'm being graceful at 16. I think it was probably 15, but I say 16. Cause 17, I was kicked out. Oh, okay. No. Yeah, 16, 17. It was the year I turned 18, but I was still 17 at the time. She kicked me out. And then, I went to try to live with my biological father, but he ain't got a place of his own. So I had to stay with my auntie, his sister. I stayed with my auntie, and it didn't work out. And, so I stayed with my uncle. Then living with my uncle, it didn't work out with my uncle either. But from 18 to 20 years old, my mom, she let me stay back with her again. Then I moved back in with my mom's, and like the year I was 20, but in the beginning of the year until I was 21 is when I really started. 20 years old, probably like 4-5 months before I turned 21 is when I started putting myself out there and start getting clout on the internet.
Mm.
But you asked me about my upbringing and what else?
Music, your music.
Music.
You know, how do you got into music?
Mm-hmm.
With my music, I love Eminem because his story is raw. You know, I know he had issues with his mom. I got issues with my mom. You know, Eminem been through a lot. And I looked up to Eminem because it's like I've been through a lot. And the reason why I put myself out there, one of the reasons why I put myself out there in the way that I did was to get famous and to get recognized for my music along with getting rich. But those was the 2 reasons, because I felt like I had a lot to talk about. Well, at a young age, at that age, I felt like I had a lot to talk about with dumpster diving, being abused, losing my stepfather, and not having my real father in my life because he's in and out of prison. And then, you know, I remember my real father went to my stepfather and my mom and was like, "Hey, thank you for, you know, he called me JJ. He called me JJ and my mom called me Boom, cause I'm a John Jr. But so my dad went to my stepdad, and my mom was like, "Thank you for taking care of JJ. You know, man, I'm trying. I can't. You know, thank you for being a father that I couldn't be and stuff." And just saying that, you know, he couldn't be a father in my life. Mm-hmm. But just doing that, I felt like I had to, like I was, you know, I wanted to put that in my music. But the thing is in Jacksonville, it's a lot of haters. You don't really get that much support like that. But I knew like that was the main reason why I started like the Boom Gang and that whole phase. And then it's that, and then me knowing if I got famous and I could get rich. So it was literally two reasons. But when I started the Boom Gang stuff, that caught, and I got so trapped into the character I was playing that I really forgot how to be myself and to put my pain and what I've been through in my music. And I was just making foolish music. But since I started to try to change, and when I decided to change is when my music changed. Let me see, I made Not a Sad Song that got like 10 million views, 11 million views. And then I started just opening up and just being me. But then, during that, God found me, and I gave my life to Christ, and I really haven't dropped no music since I've been saved. It's been a year and a half, but that's because I didn't know how to be myself in God and still do music. Like, I ain't know how to be me, be free, and still worship God in my music in today's culture. Cause it's like, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, but I still want to be me. I still want to be fi. And I didn't know how to do that. But, it's been a year and a half of my walk, and, I got a song that I'm about to drop. It's called Holy Flow. I'm dropping it, probably like a week or two. Okay. And then I just been in the studio, but just now I'm starting to find me and who I am with making faith-based music, and make it like what fit in today's culture, and like what people that aren't saved could like gravitate to it and be like, vibe to it, and it not be Christianized music. But
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I haven't dropped a song in a year and about 2 years. I ain't dropped no song. But since I've been since I've gave my life to Christ, there's still like I have support and I have a fan base, but there's still a lot of people who like they want more out of me. They want more of my story, and they want new music from me. So like, I know I still got time, and then I just right now just letting God work through me and work in me, and yeah,
that's where it's at.
Yeah, listen, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble, kicking it with Holy Gabanna. We got to go to break. Keep it locked. You're tuned into the Fixx.
And the Fixx is in.
Oh, yeah.
We're coming right back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're tuned back into the Fixx, your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on Sirius XM, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio. The usual suspects, you already know, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. Listen, we still having a great conversation, Dice, with Holy Gabanna.
Holy Gabanna.
I love it. Listen, that name change is official as of today. Okay.
Yeah, when I release my music, I'm gonna still release it under John Gabanna.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's dope.
But when I on interviews or like in my ad-libs, I'd be like Holy Gabanna. On my social media, I got Holy Gabanna, and when I introduce myself, I'm just like Holy Gabanna, because I was just like thinking, I'm like, it's just like, to me, it's just fire, because the God I serve is holy, and everything, like, I gave my life to God for real, and just everything I do is to honor Him. So Holy Gabanna, my image, like, God transformed me on the inside.
Yeah.
He transformed me on the inside. And it's like, shoot, God, you can have everything. You can have my name.
Come on now.
You can my boxing career. You can have everything, all of me.
Yeah. I got a good question for you though. You were talking a minute ago about how, just the older version of you, how you kind of lost yourself. You were like, you weren't who who you are today. Can you talk a little bit about like the mental part of it, because you have a lot of people that happens to. Like, what was going on? Like, what were you thinking as far as like were you trying to truly gain friends or fame, or like what, like how did you get to that point, just to kind of help somebody else so they can recognize like when they're kind of shifting in their mind and they're not really being true to themselves? Like,
yeah,
what was going on?
During that time, I was searching for happiness, because it's like, during that time I may have been gaining like millions of views, but it's like how I came out, I honestly didn't even want to. That's not even what I wanted to do. It's just I only did it because like I put myself out there with Boom Gang, and I did that because I felt like that would help change my life, and it did. But I had to, like, I went through, I don't want to say unnecessary challenges, because them challenges made me who I am today. But just if I'd have had guidance, I would have avoided a lot of problems. You know what I'm saying? But because of that, man, I didn't have no peace. So I was searching for happiness, and money didn't bring happiness. Girls I slept with didn't bring happiness. Views didn't bring happiness. And it's like, I just, clothes and shoes, all that, none of that brought happiness. And that's what I want. I wanted happiness. I wanted peace. And it's just, I wanted to, it was a point in my life where I didn't even want to live. I didn't even care if I died, and, just honestly, I didn't get past that point until I gave my life to Christ, because I tried therapy. Therapy did not work. I isolated myself from everybody. I still wasn't happy. Like, drugs did not work. And, it just, now I could, if somebody don't know who I am, if somebody don't know who I am, you wouldn't, just having a conversation with me, you'd be like, wow, he a wise guy, or like he knows something. Like, I'm not the wisest, but I have wise counsel. I hang around older men who pour into me. And, so when I talk to somebody, you'll know that I know a little bit.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think that if I open up and tell you my story about drugs, abuse, foster care. I was in foster care too. You know what I'm saying? So if I open up and tell you these things, you'd be like, dang, I didn't even know you've been through that.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that because God, he delivered me from that pain. He delivered me from that suffering. He delivered me from that depression. But there's no other way that you could get delivered and set free from them things beside God, because I tried therapy. I tried. I had a therapist that I paid money for, and God, he free. You know what I'm saying? And he right there, wide open, open arms, and he delivered me from all that. I tried therapy. I tried drugs. Drugs ain't do nothing but harm to my body. Had me, had me hallucinating, had me tripping, had me in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, people, unless it's like, people, they had their own problems. They don't really care about your problems. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, God, he was the only one and the only thing that could deliver anybody from that and restore.
Facts.
So let's talk about it. You got this documentary premiere that's happening tonight in Atlanta. Can you talk about what the people can expect from your story, and what are you looking to deliver?
Yeah, the premiere is tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the Epic Center. and people can expect true, raw, authenticity. It's me just literally just sharing like my upbringing, because it's like people, they see me on the internet and they have a perception, like they have their perception of me, but they only see the videos that's on the internet. You get what I'm saying? And the videos on the internet was me trying to strategize a way out of the sunken place I was in. You understand?
Yeah.
And it's like they don't know the abuse I went through. They don't know how homeless I was when I was sleeping in the streets, in the bathroom stalls, walking the streets. A lot of them videos I was doing, I was homeless and still making videos.
Wow.
Because I believed that it would set me free in life. And it's like, so people, they're gonna get true, raw authenticity, the side of me, where they be like, dang, okay, so John really not a crazy person. I could relate to him, you know. And then it's like, because it's like me, it's like I put myself in a situation where I had millions of followers, but sleeping on a friend couch. You get what I'm saying? So it's like just making a lot of bad decisions, a lot of unwise decisions, wrong decisions, hanging around the wrong people, and just living life too fast. But it's like, so when people could see me and then see somebody like that and see like how God is able to restore and flip things around, like, now I got a 2-bedroom crib. You know what I'm saying? I remember I had a car that I bought cash and I had to sell, but you see, God was able to give me a car back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they just gonna get my true raw story. It's like this. I'm not ashamed to share my failures with people, because sharing my failures with somebody could really help, and shed light to somebody and just encourage them, like, okay, yeah, you made a mistake. Yeah, you did this. Yeah, you failed. But guess what? It's never too late to make a turnaround. And if I made that turnaround and God did this for me, then he could do it for you. But you know, you just got to make that decision for yourself, because it's like I made a decision for myself. You know, I had to do my part and let God do his part.
Right.
You know, God can't do my part and his part. I got to do my part, you know, and be obedient, apply his word to my life. And just over time, you know, things change, things get renewed. I have new thinking, my heart be transformed, and God opened up doors in my life. And so people that's what they're going to get from the documentary.
Awesome. That's it. I love that. Be transformed, be renewed, change your mind, trust God. You do your part. You've been dropping a lot of jewels and gems.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Listen, brother, I know I can't be there personally tonight to watch, but
it's tomorrow night.
I mean, tomorrow. But for all of you who can check this out, please, please, please make sure you go check out John Gabanna, Holy Gabanna's story and message. I'm 100% sure it'll bless you. Take a friend, you know, take a stranger for all I care. But listen, y'all don't want to miss this. Y'all don't want to miss this. I mean, your story has been life-changing too. So I thank you for sharing that too, because you could have just kept all that to yourself. You really could have. But to your point, like people are delivered and they're changed by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. And so, I mean, I just thank God for you and thank you for coming on the show and sharing everything that you just shared with us and our audience. And I just want to say God bless you, man. And yeah, get back into the music, because you know we're definitely a fan of yours. So we would love to hear how you worship God in your style, you know, right, over some fire.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
For real. Yeah, Focus. Yeah. What else you got, man? You know, I can sit here and we can kidnap them all night, but we can't keep them all night. So we gotta let them go. So
No, I got one more question. We done. And this is just a hip hop question. So, if you could pick two artists, dead or alive, any genre of music, to come in your lane and form a group outside of your group you already have, who would those two artists be?
Mm.
I wasn't expecting him not to know.
I
thought he would have had him off the top.
No. He was like,
Because I know he's inspired by a lot of different artists, so that's why I'm just wondering, like, who would you create
Which
like
two?
that compilation project with these
Ooh.
two artists, any genre, dead or alive, but they coming into Holy Gabanna's world?
Well, I remember as a teenager, to be honest with you, I listened to a lot of Eminem and Lil Wayne. And then besides Eminem and Lil Wayne, Tech Nine. Those are my three artists I really listen to a lot.
Listen, straight fire. Straight fire.
Eminem and Lil Wayne.
Yeah. Listen, Holy Gabanna, we appreciate you rocking with us today. Can you tell the people how they can connect with you, follow you on all your social media platforms?
On Instagram, it's Sir Gabanna. On Twitter, it's Real Sir Gabanna. And on TikTok, it's Sir Gabanna. And then you can just type in John Gabanna on YouTube, and my page is right there. Boom.
Keep it locked. You're tuned into the Fixx.
And the Fixx is in.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to the Fixx.
Yes, sir. Can you do a video drop for us real quick? Can you look in the chat and just read the video drop for us?